I begin our service today by acknowledging that Unity Center sits on the unceded historical territory of the Swanoi and border Wappinger peoples. We honor their enduring relationship to this land and invite everyone to join us in practicing mindful, conscious stewardship of our precious Mother Earth. For Native American and indigenous people, being a caretaker of Mother Earth is a way of life rooted in the belief that we are not separate from the land, but an extension of it. It means practicing reciprocity, where humans give back with respect and protection in return for the life the earth sustains. In indigenous worldviews, humans are seen as the caretakers of the earth, not the owners of the earth. This stewardship is guided by several core principles. The sacred web of life. Everything in nature, the water, the trees, animals, and winds, is interconnected and possesses a spirit. Harming the environment means directly harming ourselves and our relatives. There's generational wisdom. Decisions are made with 7 generations in mind. Caretakers must always consider how their actions today will impact the lives and environments of the descendants who will walk the earth long after they are gone. I don't know about you, but I didn't think about that until I read this today. 7 generations after me. Deep reverence. Traditional practices such as prayers and offerings are used to show gratitude for the earth's generosity and to maintain spiritual balance. Being a caretaker means recognizing that natural resources are not merely commodities to be exploited, but an heirloom passed down through generations. It involves protecting sacred sites, forests, waterways from extraction and pollution. Harvesting only what is needed and leaving an offering to show respect and maintain harmony. I thought about this yesterday when I threw away about 10 pieces of paper. I was like, oh, I didn't have to throw those out. I recycled them. I did recycle them, but I could have used the other side and I forgot. Understanding that clean water is life and defending the inherent rights of rivers, mountains, and lands. That's our job as caretakers of the land. Now, the Bible, God's message in Genesis was establish humanity as stewards, or another word for caretakers, of the earth. It centers on 2 primary commands: to have dominion over the earth in Genesis 1:28, and to work it and keep it, which is Genesis 2:15. Together, these define responsible stewardships rather than exploitation. The key themes from Genesis regarding this message include dominion as responsibility, as being given dominion, means ruling as God would, with love, justice, and care. Humans are placed in charge to manage Mother Earth and her resources, all of her. Now, Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, says intelligence is inherent in every form, animate or inanimate. Even rocks and all the minerals have life. We should be speaking words of truth to everything, not only to humankind, but to mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdoms. He said, nature works intelligently, and we shall never be able to conform to her laws until we approach her as a wise, loving mother who we know gladly gives us what we want when we use it wisely. Instead of operating from that place of despair and hopelessness, we can move forward with hope and with clear vision for tangible, practical steps we can take to live in harmony with our environment. So I know I listen to things and feel hopeless about what's going on, but it's not hopeless. There are many things that we can do. We can act as a wise and loving parent to our beloved planet. We can involve young and old alike, all of us together. It's doable, it's possible, it's important, and the time is now. And the agents of change are us. Now, he said this in the 1800s. Isn't that interesting? I don't know even what they knew back then about what was going on in the world, but Myrtle, co-founder of Unity, she was almost accused of being a nature worshiper, God forbid, when she was a little girl. Nature is surely the glorified face of God, she said. See the beauty about you, and you do see the manifestation of the infinite mind. And where there is a presence of the divine, there is also a vibration of love. Now, one of the former presidents and CEO of Unity Worldwide Headquarters, her name is Charlotte Shelton, say that fast a few times. We are bombarded daily with messages about the destruction of our beautiful planet. We can let worry and fear get the best of us. We can think there's nothing we can do. Or we can take another tact. We can co-create with God a world that works for all of us. We can start in prayer, asking Spirit for ideas and inspiration and guidance. And from that God-centered place, we can then face the challenges and issues that are facing our planet. As informed, optimistic people who understand the urgency of our time, we can see that the possibilities are even greater than the crisis. We stand together on common ground with our Mother Earth, united in our commitment to express loving care for this sacred home. Unity Earth Care Ministry. So Unity Earth Care Ministry started in 2001, and I'm talking about all this not only because we just had Earth Day and we have summer solstice coming up, but many of you are probably aware that we've stepped up to get involved in the Unity Earth Care organization. And in that, we've made some decisions as a small group of what we think our community can do to help preserve and be a significant difference in our environment. But the vision statement for the Unity Earth Care Ministry, which began in 2001 by Reverend Kathy Haywood, she said, we envision a world in which all humanity lives in a spiritual consciousness that manifests as loving coexistence with all creation and care for our earth home. Now, we have some different positions of different communities, and I want to just share what they have come up with, because what we're going to be doing as an organization, or as a group anyway, is we're going to come up with a covenant of what we feel we can do, what we can do as far as how we can make a difference. But Reverend Paul Roach, Unity Church, Fort Worth, Texas, says, coming into relationship with nature. Now, he said this in 2014. Coming into relationship with nature and finding a sense of place in our environment are not luxuries or the special preserve of nature mystics. They are essential components to living a purposeful and contented life. This is our work, our joyous responsibilities as human beings involved in a larger creation. To acknowledge and appreciate the presence of Spirit in the grass growing beneath our feet, in our own place where heaven and earth meet, in the magnificent interplay of the human with the divine. I thought that was so beautiful. Now, Unity of Walnut Creek, this is their covenant that they claimed. We, the Unity of Walnut Creek community, affirm that there is one life, one power, one presence. Humans are one with nature. We affirm a deep respect and a sincere reverence for the interdependent web of all life. We envision a world where all beings are supported to live the lives for which they are created. We commit to being responsible stewards of our earthly home. Our prayer, mindfulness, and service compel the divine right actions to promote awareness, protect, heal, and sustain our natural environment. We are grateful and inspired by the infinite gifts of nature and the potential and possibilities for the highest good manifesting now. Doesn't that give you a good feeling? It's very powerful. Unity of Central Oregon says, we believe that creation is an interconnected web of life with diverse forms. As conscious elements of this web, we affirm the importance of care for the earth as an extension of ourselves. Today we make an Earth Care Covenant, a sacred trust between Unity Community of Central Oregon and the spirit that expresses as all life. We commit to a renewed reverence for life. We promise to care, support, and defend the balance between our individual needs and those of nature. We envision a world where everything intrinsic value is recognized and where all beings are assured a secure and meaningful life that is ecologically responsible and sustainable. We agree to transform our individual and communal lives so that we stand as a moral witness, discarding harmful habits for new behaviors that demonstrate our respect for the harmony and interconnectedness among all of us and with our earth. We declare our covenant with Spirit to walk upon the earth for the greatest good of all creation. So we're talking about making changes. And I'm going to share what some of the things that we talked about are. But just think back to when we all would go to the store and use the bags that they provided us, and kind of the hassle that it felt like to bring our own bags. Now, how many people here bring their own bags to the store? Yeah. It makes a difference. Again, it's 7 generations out that we're thinking about. And even that, saying it, feels good. So United Worldwide Ministries Board of Trustees Climate Change Action Resolution. This is from 2015. We, the leadership of Unity Worldwide Ministry, hear the urgent call to co-create a world that nourishes all life forms. We positively declare our love for and spiritual interconnectedness with all beings, reaction, and our responsibility to protect the sustainability of our environment. Align with the empowering spiritual teachings of Unity co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Jesus, and other inspired spiritual teachers, we advocate for worldwide prayer partners to take into affirmative prayer and meditation the personal inquiry of what is mine to do. It always comes back to what is mine to do to improve the quality of life of all beings and our planet. Unity Worldwide Ministry affirms that climate change is real and that human activity is a significant cause of climate change. Unity Worldwide Ministry also acknowledges that climate change is an issue resulting from both environmental degradation and social injustice. As such, we commit to serve as our faith leads us to take in healing of the planet. United Worldwide Ministries is in accordance with its God-centered 5 basic principles, commits to advancing the unity movement by 1. Promoting active stewardship of the environment and an awareness of our oneness with the earth. 2. Cultivating a consciousness of earth care that includes both spiritual and practical actions that support and balance the environment and our human needs in accordance with Unity's 5 basic principles. The 5th one being, through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. If we are one with the world, how are we living that? How are we acting? Promoting sustainable living practices that honor the Earth's ecosystem and resources in a responsible manner. Transforming attitudes and commitments by embracing concrete actions that reduce human ecological impacts and promote justice for all. And 5, educating, supporting, and encouraging individuals to align their individual lifestyle choices with values that promote environmental sustainability and recognition of their moral imperative to care for creation. Now, there's so many things that we can do. So many. I have a list here of like 15. I'm not going to read them all, but some of the things that we've talked about here at Unity Center of Norwalk were create less garbage, using less paper and less plastic, So we talked about, and Andrea spoke about it last week, bringing our own coffee mugs, bringing our own plates and utensils each week, and then bring them home to wash them and bring them back the next week. Now, we'll still have stuff here if we forget it, but the point is we can't have a dishwasher here, and if we bring the stuff home, we can wash it ourselves or put it in a dishwasher, which is more energy efficient. We talked about getting compostable garbage bags. Offering movies that wake us up to the things that we could do for the planet. I just watched one on forestry, which was pretty enlightening about, planting trees and how we had destroyed so many forests that the earth needs more trees. And it the message got a little misconstrued because people started planting trees individually, which is great. But it's the forests that we need to rebuild. And they've come up with ways to do that. Now, not that we're going to be able to do that as a community, but to just be aware of that. I had never known that until I watched that show. Movies on climate change, biodiversity, pollinator protection, or sustainable agriculture, helping us all to understand the environmental challenges and solutions of what we can do. We talked about collaborating with other organizations and churches that have existing Earth Conscious programs. And we also talked about creating and bringing in a recycling bin and a composting bin. But we're going to need to figure out how we're going to get that out of here and what we're going to do with it. But some other things that we can do as community or individuals are, having an energy audit, looking at either in your home or here, looking at where you're losing heat or where you're losing coolness. And, usually the energy company will come in and, I know we did it at our house. They put in stops, using some chemicals or whatever it is that they use. But it's so that you don't use more air conditioning or heat than you need to. Saving water, waste minimization, recycling, conserving natural resources, honoring the independent web of creation, looking at what we're doing for the bees and the butterflies and forestry, getting involved with environmental and social justice, mindful eating. Some organizations, some companies, some Unity centers, when they have hospitality, they only do vegetarian, which is what Charles and Myrtle Fillmore had. They only ate vegetables. Some of them also promote having something like meatless Mondays. Nobody eating meat on Mondays. So there's lots of ways that we can incorporate things so that we are more consciously taking care of Mother Earth. Now, the summer solstice, which is June 21st, it's a Sunday. We, as a community, are celebrating at the Kitchen's house on the 25th. It's a Thursday at 6:30, and it's potluck at 6:30, so everybody brings their food, and I'm going to ask that you bring your own plates and forks and knives, too. We'll have some, but if you can bring your own, that would be great. And then we're going to go on to what we normally do, having a fire and talking about, doing meditation and looking at what it is that, we went through the whole, the winter solstice was about, going into hibernation and asking for guidance as what is ours to do. And then in the summer, okay, what have we harvested and what have we reaped from our harvest? But in the pagan and Wiccan traditions, the summer solstice is known as Litha, or midsummer. Litha marks the longest day of the year, celebrating the peak of the sun god's power and the height of Earth's abundance. Celebrating the summer solstice can align closely with efforts to protect the environment because the solstice naturally draws attention to the Earth's cycles, seasonal changes, and humanity's relationship with nature. The summer solstice is the longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere, and it occurs because the Earth's tilt is at orbits with the sun. And many cultures have historically marked this day with gatherings, ceremony, and expressions of gratitude for sunlight and crops and the natural world. The solstice itself is an annual reminder of our dependence on healthy ecosystems. The ways that solstice celebration can coincide with protecting Mother Earth include connecting with nature, spending time outdoors. Hopefully we're going to be doing that with a fire, as long as it's not raining. Environmental stewardship activities. So these are things that you could do before our event because the solstice is on the 21st, which sometimes that whole weekend there'll be stuff around that you could do. Some communities pair solstice events with tree planting, habitat restoration, beach or park cleanups, and community gardening projects. There's sustainable living practices. Solstice celebrations can highlight renewable energy, local food, composting, waste reduction, and other environmental conscious choices. Well, that was the other thing that we could do is, eat more local food and eat what's in season, right? Instead of eating anything that's in the grocery store, truly try and pick what's being grown now and being grown locally. Education and awareness events may include workshops on climate change, biodiversity, pollinator protection, or sustainable agriculture, helping people understand environmental challenges. So like I said, these are things that could be possibly going on in the community. For many people, the symbolism of the solstice is very powerful. At this point of the greatest daylight, reflect on the Earth's life-supporting systems and renew our commitments to care for them. Whether we approach it through spirituality, cultural tradition, or environmental activism, my hope is this talk and the summer solstice celebration can serve as a reminder that our human well-being is closely connected to the health of the planet. The exact connection depends on the tradition being observed. Common theme for gratitude for nature paired with actions that help preserve it for future generations. So I've given you lots of examples, and I'm going to leave you with the question, what are you called to do? What is yours to do? I want to say thank you. Thank you for your kindness, for your compassion, for your empathy. I see you, I appreciate you, and I love you. And until I see you again, know that you are blessed and a blessing.